Last week was our first playoff game, and my plaque psoriasis was so itchy under all my gear. Sometimes just thinking about scratching could take me out of the moment. And then my doctor told me I could get clearer skin with a pill called Otezla.
Otezla apremilast is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months.
Okay, ready for the next game. Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts. Live in the moment. Ask your doctor about Otezla. Call 1-844-4-OTEZLA or visit Otezla.com for prescribing info about cost, and more.
Join us on a journey, you glorious human, to see yourself clearly and feel a little more awesome than you did before. It's Awesome with Alison.
Hello, 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 my beautiful humans. Welcome to the podcast. It's Alison. You're here. I'm here. And my dog Spike is sitting on my cord that is going to my microphone. Him and I have fallen into a codependent relationship in which he follows me around all day and stares at me, and I depend on him to follow me around all day and stare at me so I feel valid. It's like at the end of The Office, they're interviewing them on a panel, and somebody says, "Do your lives feel pointless and meaningless now that nobody's filming it?" And I think it's like Toby or somebody grabs the microphone and is like, "Yes." Spike gives my life meaning and purpose, but also drives me absolutely insane. This is Awesome with Alison. I am obsessed with helping you connect to your purpose. I am obsessed with helping you realize that you cannot be yourself incorrectly. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm so excited to tell you what I told the third graders. So I'm parroting this after an episode where I had the opportunity to be the assembly at the middle school. So I've got an episode called What I Told the Middle Schoolers, and I'm very happy with the messages I was able to share with these third graders. In fact, being able to share it with the third graders, I feel like has made me an even more powerful communicator, because a few days later, I had the opportunity to speak to a small group of business owners and service providers. And I shared a lot of the same messages, and the room was just electric. I got chills while I was speaking multiple times. And I know it's because the simplicity of the message I was communicating with third graders, I needed to get it to that simplicity. I really hope it's going to speak to your heart today. So when I decided to help out in the third grade class, this is my daughter Fiona. Her teacher is just, oh my gosh, she's such a beautiful ray of sunshine. And she had said, "Hey, you've written a book, you've done a podcast, you have fun with the kids. Would you like to come and talk to them about that?" I was like, "Sure." And the teacher asked, "Oh, we have these 3 mornings. Would you want to come in for like an hour a day?" And I was like, "Sure." And there's a wonderful workshop my friend Molly puts on called Dear Daughter. And I had these poster boards already made. I've used them to speak with younger kids before. And so I went to my storage unit, I got my poster boards, and I decided what I would help the kids do is learn how to write a message from their heart. And what I said to the third graders is how it applies to you is being able to communicate, being able to understand the messages our hearts need, the messages other people's hearts needs. And whether we communicate that message through words like I do, and I shared examples of my book and my tumblers and my stickers and my workbooks and the notebooks. That's one way that I share my messages. But whether you are an astronaut or an Olympian or a lead parent who's running that schedule, rocking that schedule, whether you're working in an office, regardless, we all are showing up and sharing messages with our presence and with the work that we put into the world. What I want these kids to know is that they can make a difference. And one way the way they're going to make a difference is by being able to connect to themselves and know who they are so they can share those messages from their heart and show up in the world. So I brought them the gratitude journal and I asked them these 3 questions. Now, these are a variation of questions I use in my branding workshop and in my coaching, and I made it so that 3rd graders could answer. And the questions were this. Number 1, what's your favorite compliment? And so then I had the kids turn to a blank page in the journal and write that down. Number 2, when you're not in the room, what do you hope or wish people would say about you? And number 3, what do you love about yourself? Now, this is actually a really important exercise. You know, if you can, grab a piece of paper, grab your note section from your phone and try this exercise. It's a really powerful exercise. And the reason it's so powerful is because it gives us insight into a few things. When I ask you the question, what's your favorite compliment? It's a very quick way of seeing what affirmation and validation kind of lights you up. And I had a friend text me a reel that she saw that was saying, like, you know, you don't actually need all this validation. And it's true. You don't need all this outside validation. However, we are a social species that relies on one another for cues of safety. It's like when animals want to connect, a dog is going to walk up and, you know, he's going to keep his head down. And if that dog backs up, that's a cue, right? That's an animal instinct cue. So when we know what compliments kind of light us up or kind of make it so we don't feel like backing away, that's insight into validation, affirmation that makes us feel safe and calm and connected. And when I ask you what you hope would people say about you when you're not in the room, that helps us understand your values, right? Now, I didn't tell the 3rd graders all this, but I want you to understand that these rudimentary questions can just give us so much insight. And number 3, what do you love about yourself? That can be a really hard question for adults. But it was so cool to have the kids answer these. And then I taught them about listening with our hearts, and that when people share answers to these questions, if there was anybody brave enough to share the answers to these questions, that we would listen with our hearts. And it was so cool to listen to these 9-year-olds talk about what they hope somebody would say about them when they're not in the room. And I loved when they would say things like, I hope that they say I'm the best skier and they've never seen anybody ski like me. It was so good. And I held up my book. Who do you think I write these messages for? And they're like, my mom, you know. And I'm like, I write them for me. And the reason why I had you do that exercise is because the messages that you hope to hear, the messages that you love to receive, are the messages that other people need to hear from you. So on day 1, we played a few games. We had some creativity exercises. We had the journal exercises. I had them get up. We danced. I had them do like a mini meditation. And we just really worked on tuning into our hearts. Because the message I return to over and over again, the 3 poster boards, and they are this: you can make a difference. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be as easy as sharing words of love, a message from your heart, right? Number 2 is you're going to mess up trying, and that's okay. And we talked about how sometimes I say things and the people do not like the words, and I do fail, right? And that's good because it means I'm trying. And the other poster board is you're the perfect person for the job. You cannot be you incorrectly. I feel so much power behind that statement. And when I spoke to the group of service providers later that week, one woman, when I said, you can't be yourself incorrectly, gasped. And it just hit her right in her heart. And that's my favorite type of thing to have happen. So on day number 2, I wanted to do like kind of some actual writing exercise to feel like I was fulfilling the creative brief given to me by the 3rd grade teacher. I had the kids move the chairs into circle and we played a game of telephone. Of course, you know, 3rd grade are changing the messages, which was perfect for illustration because I talked about, you know, even though we have these important words to say, sometimes we try to share them and say them, and maybe our parents don't hear them. Maybe the people that really love us, they don't say, wow, those are great words. So we have to learn to share our words in a way so that people can hear them. And we also get to know that just because other people don't tell you you're good at something, it doesn't mean you're not good at it. And I gave them an example. I said, I've always loved writing. My mom's a writer, but I also really love art. And when I was a little kid, everybody would compliment me on my writing. And this is probably not even true. I felt like people weren't making a big deal about my art. And so I really focused on my writing and not my art. But as an adult, I've realized how happy art makes me. And I gave myself permission that I'm great at art and I get to do as much art as I want. And when I had them raise their hand each day to say, what did we learn yesterday? Because I went 3 days in a row. That is what most of them remembered. That they were allowed to say that they were good at something all on their own. And so we played that game of telephone and the messages got messed up. So then I taught them a hook. So in writing, a hook is something that draws people in. And so I said, has anybody gone fishing? And we talked about the bait and the lure. And this was insane. I said, oh, but it's not like clickbait, kind of like to myself. And then I paused and I was like, you guys, how many of you know what clickbait is? And over half the class raised their hand. Whoa. And so if you don't know, clickbait is when you see those headlines that are like, you'll never believe Benson Boone did this, right? And I was like, it's not a lie. That's not what we want to do. What we want to do is we want to grab people's attention. So I taught them the art, the formula of writing a message from the heart. And they had to write a message. And part one was a hook. Like, you won't believe what I'm about to tell you about you, right? We practiced writing hooks. And then we gave a compliment. And I had them open up their journals to give a compliment they would like to receive. And then I had them try to write 3 supporting facts. This is actually a great format for a thank you card, an appreciation card. This is a great format for life. This comes from my years of being a copywriter and back in the day, a greeting card writer. And it was fun to see that even if they didn't get it exactly, the messages, the compliments, what they were putting out, they were all very excited about. So we rolled those up tight on day 2 and we put them in a bottle. And then I think we played a few more games. So day 2, the takeaway that I want you to have is that you can communicate a message from your heart. And sometimes it gets lost along the way. Sometimes people don't receive it. And the most important thing is that we communicate with ourselves and that we are available to ourselves and that we allow ourselves to give us the messages we need to hear. Because like I said to the middle schoolers, is you can't give what you don't have. And if you don't have an idea of what your heart needs to hear, if you don't have any inclination of how to connect with yourself, it does make it harder to connect with other people. The very first person that we need to connect with is ourselves. I'm so grateful for this teacher. I'm so grateful for her. I hope she listens to this because her sincere heart and the way she shows up with love for these kids, it makes such a difference in my life. It makes such a difference in their life. And because she is that way in her life, she's able to show up and share that with the children.
Today's a great day to live your life on purpose.
On day 3, we cut open the messages in the bottle and everybody got to read the message in a bottle. And I brought them Twinkies and Dum-Dums. We did a drawing creativity game where we passed a clipboard down. And while we did that, I told the kids that if they were brave enough and if they wanted to, that we would record their messages from the heart. I had Eric come in and he just used my phone in the hall and we wouldn't take any names and we asked for the parents' permission. So I'm going to play those with you now. They are such a treat. So I want to thank this 3rd grade class for their messages.
You don't even know how much you all loved.
You're the best, and you're you no matter what people say.
You're awesome.
You are who you are, and that's enough.
I like your hair. Be yourself. Let your worries go, and it will all work out.
You are not alone.
Nobody knows how much you're loved.
You are not alone. People love you. You are doing great in life. I love your shirt today. Hi, you're really nice and you look cool.
You are nice. Everybody has the same nice level.
You're awesome and kind.
Yeah, you're doing a good job.
You are special to the world.
You are loved, smart, strong, and athletic.
You're cool and awesome.
You are enough.
You're not alone.
You matter and you can make differences no matter what. You're already awesome.
Isn't that just the best thing? Isn't that just the best? So like I told the third graders, I want you to hear this. I really, really want you to hear it. I want you to grab your teens. I want you to grab a partner. I want you to grab a friend. And I really want you guys to hear this, is you make a difference. And I found this pin, this badge, when I was 12 or 13 at a thrift store that says, you can make a difference. I just want to cross out the word can and leave you with the message. You make a difference. You heard the messages of those third graders. They make a difference simply by being themselves and sharing messages from their heart and showing up in this insane world that we live in. They make a difference, just like I told the kids. Oh, I'm going to cry now. You make a difference, not you can make a difference. And it doesn't have to be hard. You are going to mess up trying. And that's such a good thing. Because if you mess up, it means you're trying. And like in all invention and creation, we iterate. You cannot be you incorrectly. And as I've really read and explored and thought about this concept of purpose, your purpose really is to be your expansive self. Because when you are your expansive self, there's that ripple effect. When I, Alison, feel confident and excited, the way I show up is very visual. And so then people want to say, oh, that's not true for me. No, it's true for you. It's not going to look like it does for me. It's going to look like it does for you because you're the perfect person for your job. Just like I'm the perfect person for my job. And Spike is the perfect dog for the job of laying at my feet and making it hard to move. So that's what I told the third graders. And that's the message that the third graders have for you. And I want to thank them for their energy, their beauty, their hearts, for being so warm and open. And I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for having fun with me. Have you guys noticed where I say today's a good day to live your life on purpose? And then we have so I just learned that porpoises aren't dolphins, but will I probably refer to them interchangeably, much to the chagrin of all marine biologists and zoologists? Absolutely. I love this idea of create on porpoise, live your life on porpoise. I've been talking about this for years and years to people in person in my life. I'm putting together a purpose and creativity offer, a workshop I'm working on. I'm very, very, very excited. So make sure you're subscribed to my emails. Make sure you're on the mailing list because that's where I go first to update. Sometimes I don't even make it to social media. We'll put a link in the show notes here for the newsletter. If you have questions about purpose, please shoot me an email at heygirl@thealisonshow.com or call Girlfriend Therapy Hotline. That number is always in the show notes. And ask your questions. Leave your comments. I appreciate that so much. I love it so much. And I want to thank the few people who sent me an email last week about last week's episode. If you missed that one, I really highly recommend it. You make a difference. We need you. We need you grumpy. We need you sassy. We need you snarky. We also need you expansive, content, and happy. I don't just want part of you, baby. I want all of you. Only you can be you, and you can't be yourself incorrectly. Ooh, love you, lovers.